Welcome to this live stream with Mr. Brett Sutherland, founder and CEO of Lead Revenue. I'm excited to share this guy's knowledge with all of you guys because I think that it is something that is missing in the contractor space in a lot of ways. There is just, in the last handful of weeks here working with Brett and the team at Lead Revenue, I feel like there has been a curtain pulled back for me here on a lot of things with regard to marketing. And we're going to talk about a lot of those things. We're going to talk about what it's going to take in 2020 and beyond. You know, a lot of things have changed recently in the marketplace, and getting attention, as we all know, is the key to victory in any business, but it is getting more and more challenging as time goes by. And so we're going to unpack that, exactly what it's going to take for you to be successful in 2020 and beyond. And we're going to get into some detail and give you some tactical advice on exactly what you need to do. Brett, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and just give everybody a little bit of the background that you have in the digital space and how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I've been in the digital space for, going on 15 years now. I started in the auto industry and worked my way up to a dealer there. Built my own digital marketing website and really took everything in-house when I owned a Honda dealership in Miami. From there, grew the dealership from 700 in the company to the top 25 in the nation. Sold it, realized I had a very, very viable product in an industry that was struggling really to take hold of digital marketing, which is the auto industry. The company was Fusion Zone Automotive, grew that to several thousand dealers, 1,000 customers plus over the course of 10 years. At the end of 2017, sold majority control to a private equity firm, and then ran the company for a year, but was thinking in the back of my mind, there are so many other industries that I know we could help from a digital marketing perspective. And, obviously, contractors is one of them that is super important, that I think we can really make a lot of inroads for a lot of contractors, regardless of their area of expertise. So obviously learned a lot about the space from you, Brian, and, as we've collaborated, really see how we can start bringing more traffic and opportunities to people.
Yeah, awesome, man. And it has been, like I said, man, just an educational experience working with, you and the team. And, a couple of the things that I learned, really, we're going to be releasing a blog post through Lead Revenue about these things here in the coming days. So you guys will have an opportunity to go to the Lead Revenue website and kind of read this in detail, in addition to what we're going to talk about tonight. But there's three main things that we want to cover tonight. The three things that you need to know. And we're going to unpack these in detail, so don't go anywhere. But those three things are, number one is build a website that converts. And I don't want to get into too much detail on these bullet points, but, having a visually appealing website is just one piece of the puzzle, right? And it really wasn't until I had a conversation with Brett that I realized, like, man, having a website doesn't really serve a purpose unless it's feeding you leads, unless it's doing something productive for your business, and that would be for it to actually convert. So we're going to go into the multitude of things that you can do to your website that will make it convert better. Number two is create and distribute content that educates your customers and your prospects on exactly who your company is, and we'll tell you how you should be doing that, and then what that means out there in the internet space. How do you actually convert that content into something that's going to benefit your business? And number three is to be omnipresent. So having your company and you meet your customers everywhere that they exist online. So, the one thing that I want to start by saying is that the construction and the contracting world, man, it is changing rapidly on a variety of fronts. Typically the construction industry is a little bit late when it comes to adopting new technology. And there is no question that the digital age has taken hold within the construction industry, because this is where customers and prospects are finding the contractors that they choose to work with. And I think it's important to note that as that digital landscape changes, if you do not adapt to it, you're going to find yourself going down a very challenging road. And those companies that refuse to adapt to this, they could be extinct in a number of years. So how does that align, Brett, to like kind of when you embarked on the automotive industry? I'm assuming that it sounds like it was in a similar place. And then how did you see that evolve over a number of years?
Yeah, no, it was, I think, in a very, very similar place. And, you know, as you've opened my eyes to the contractor world, you know, I remember specifically, I was sitting at my dealership in North Miami Beach, Florida, looking at the showroom. I was on Google and I was Googling, you know, new Honda Accord. I was nowhere on the first page of Google and knew that other larger industries were having huge success in being found organically. So I said, there's got to be more out here. So it made me realize a few things. One, it made me realize obviously your website is your digital storefront, but more importantly, like you said earlier, it needs to be your conversion hub. You need to think of it as is where you want to send your customers to basically extract their information. That is what it's there for. So think of a funnel, and when a customer goes in the funnel, it's going to spit out basically a lead. That's how your website should be. But it takes more than just a website. It takes, like you said, being omnipresent and being consistent across blogging, across social media, across video marketing. Whatever you can do is really what it takes. Have the consistency where you are putting out a blog article. From the blog article, you're creating social media posts. You're creating YouTube videos. YouTube's the second largest, you know, search engine on the planet. It's just all important. If you've ever noticed the companies that do extremely well, take big Fortune 500 companies such as Apple. You know, their blog posts match their website message, match their social media message, match their billboards, match their television advertising. That's what Google is looking for. It's actually called content compounding. And they're looking for content to basically bring people into your website and extract lead data, extract open opportunities for, you know, contractors or really any business, whatever you may be in.
Yeah, no question, man. And I think, you know, to unpack that a little bit, you know, when we talk about building a website that converts, not one that's just visually appealing, there are a couple things that, and we haven't talked about some of this off camera at all yet, but I'm interested to hear, because, you know, the traditional thing that you see from contractors is that, you know, you'll see a lot of their shiny trucks and you'll see a lot of pictures of equipment and jobs and things like that. But what is typically missing is that messaging or that educational piece that kind of connects the customer to your company, right? That creates that level of connectivity that separates you from the competition. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, just that little piece of like how a customer actually comes to convert on your website. What does it take when you get to a website to be that focused that a customer says, okay, I want to learn more?
Identify their pain points first and foremost. Are they suffering from this? Are they suffering from this? Are they suffering from this? And you want to make sure those 3 pain points, every single person says, yep, I have that problem. Yep, I have that problem. Yep, I have that problem. And then have a conversion area on the website. As they scroll down the funnel, you want, and they haven't converted at that point, hit them with 3 more problems that you know everyone in the industry faces. And the chances of them converting on the second group go up even more. If they keep scrolling, they're going to find more reasons to convert. Maybe they find a video that talks about the pain points that they're feeling and then have another conversion tool. So you want to give them multiple opportunities. You want them to immediately say, yes, I have this issue. Yes, I have this issue. And let them know that, hey, you can help solve these pain points. And that's how you increase conversion. In addition, we're going to talk about increasing traffic, and the two coincide so well because we're going to get conversion rates. Most websites convert at 1% or less, meaning if you bring 1,000 people to your website, you're going to typically see a 1% return, or that many people fill out a form submission. We have the criteria to convert from 1%, get that metric from 1% to 5, 6, 7%. So basically, we've increased your lead flow by 4, 5, 600%. If we can do that, then we start bringing in more and more traffic and get the 1,000 visits to 4,000 visits, and so on. That's the recipe for success. Doesn't matter the industry. Across the board, that is the recipe for digital marketing. And quite frankly, I'm here to tell you, digital marketing is not hard. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's easy. It just requires a tremendous amount of work, right? So that is where most people get lost in it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that you said earlier today that really stuck out to me in a big way was, there's so many things out there on the internet, and plenty of people read this stuff about digital marketing. And it's like going on TV and you see a commercial that says lose 50 pounds in 30 days. And everybody buys the product, and then they wonder why they're still the same weight 30 days later as they were before. And it comes down to, there is, regardless of what people might tell you online, there is no trick to increasing traffic necessarily. It takes work and it takes strategy, just like any other piece of business. And so what we see is that contractors typically, and a lot of other businesses too, will build a website that they think at the time is visually appealing, and then they leave it sit there. And what they don't realize is that, number one, that website is aging. Number two, there's never going to be any traffic driven to a website that has nothing done to it, that there's no activity from, that there's no types of educational content, blog posts, social media that's driving back that type of traffic. And so the one thing that you touched on there that I want to make sure that everybody knows is, and you guys walked us through this, is that, your website should really be telling a story. And that story should be simple enough for a customer to understand exactly who you are, what you do, and leave nothing to confusion for them, to the point that the last thing they have to do is just click a button and say, I need some more information. And that is plain and simple. Just literally keep it simple, and your customers and prospects, they will appreciate that, because what they want is just to click a button and to say, I need more information. Or we'll get into this in a few minutes here, to have somebody actually ask them if they want more information, right?
Exactly.
Do you need some help, right? And, it is, you mentioned this earlier too, but it is, your website in today's world, it becomes the digital version of your office. And so I want you guys to imagine, that are watching or listening later on down the road here, imagine if you go to somebody's office and you hear great things about this company, and you knock on the door, but nobody answers. And so I would ask you that if you have nothing on your website and the customer has to do all the work to enter their information and enter their email, how many times have you been to a website and you went there and it required you to enter something and you just left because you didn't want to enter anything? Now, I want you to think about that in an opposite way. When you get to a website and somebody says, hey, Brett, this is Brian. Can I help you with anything today? And a little box pops up. That is the difference between 2020 and 2012 in websites, right? I'm not sure when chat came about, but can you touch on that piece of those two things? So how to tell a story with the website, very simply, and then also, once people are there and they're reading that story, the importance of having an attendant there that can interact with the customers that are visiting.
Sure. So obviously, I think you did a pretty good job at explaining the story part. Every single business out there has a story, regardless if you're privately owned or publicly owned. But you could have a business that does $4 or $5 million a year in revenue that is privately owned, and you can tell your story. Your second generation, your third generation, whatever that story may be. How are you different? How are you better than the competitors? and you want to hone in on that story. You want to quickly tell the story, and then you want to get to the point where you're acknowledging the problems that you know people have. That's why they're at your website. Once we get the person there, we have found that having our team of 100 plus live chat agents, having the ability to engage your customer as almost a virtual concierge to help them with their website shopping experience even takes conversion to the next level. So if we're able to take conversion from 0.5% or 1%, to 5% using our website construction, we're then able to add our live assistant or live chat operators onto the website. That should increase it an additional 3%. So now we're talking almost having a 10% conversion rate. So every 1,000 people that come to your website, if you can pull 10% or have an opportunity to work with 10% of those customers, it's a meaningful number compared to the normal figure of 0.5% to 1%. So they go hand in hand, and having that live chat agent able to engage with the customers and help them is a great way to increase conversions and to increase customer satisfaction. A lot of people, and this is another thing that we've used that we're going to launch very soon with the Pavement Group, is ebooks. A lot of people want information on a particular topic, and they love free info. They love the ability to go in and say, hey, could I possibly send you a free copy of our ebook? We're going to know that we're going to collect that customer's information. Once we if they say, yes, I want the ebook, no problem. How can I get that to you? Can I have your name and your email address, please? It's just about handling customers and engaging customers in the proper manner is all part of increasing conversions. Because at the end of the day, if you have, 100 people to work with on a monthly basis, inbound leads is what we're talking about, obviously, versus 10, you're gonna be a lot more successful in business. And what I've seen where we've been able to make inroads in digital marketing is creating great lead flow for businesses. Because Brian, I don't know about your business, but if you could sit back and you could have 100 inbound opportunities every month versus what you currently have, you're scaling the Pavement Group to a completely different stratosphere than where you are now.
Yeah, no question. And I think there's one thing that was sticking in my mind as you were saying that, is that there's so many people out there. Almost every company has a website, right? And most of them are not producing anything. And so this is where people get stuck, right? They don't invest the time because it's not producing, but it's not producing because they don't invest the time. And so it's this big vicious cycle of people don't believe that there is a solution to that problem. And, I'm here to tell you, I have seen, as we were going through this process, I have seen the difference in traffic. Brett actually showed me the lead revenue website and the increase in traffic from writing blog posts, sharing those things on LinkedIn and Facebook and different places, and then pointing that traffic back to the lead revenue website. The ability to gain traction with traffic is real. And so once you gain that traction with the traffic and you start to understand how you can increase the leads, the idea of investing this money becomes a no-brainer, right? The idea of putting the time and investing the resources and the capital into this type of marketing becomes a no-brainer because it's actually going to work. We had our first question come in here, Brett. So tons of people use chat bots. What kind of differences do you see with live operators versus set up chat bots?
So yeah, chatbots are basically an easy way out, right? You can program this through artificial intelligence to know answers to specific questions. What we do and we've found works the best is actually having live operators that can truly respond to the question at hand. We have a continual update that goes on as a response guide. And as they get asked new questions that aren't there, we're updating the response guide. But we create the response guide with the help of the owner of the company to answer virtually every question a customer could ask, and then are able to give them real answers. Chatbots aren't able to adapt to that. So it makes a world of difference, a chatbot versus, a real US-based operator.
Yeah, agreed, man. And I would, I've been on the line with enough chatbots in my day to know that they get it right on the simple stuff. But as soon as you get off the beaten path a bit, you get into the weeds a little bit with a chatbot for sure. All right. So number 2 here, the number 2 thing that everybody needs to know is to create and distribute content that actually educates your customers and prospects. And I want to touch on this one because it is literally, how I have been able to build an audience on social media. It is also how we have been able to build what we've built at the Pavement Group in such a short period of time, is by literally educating people and in a way becoming the authority when it comes to a lot of topics within our space. And so that is the idea behind this. And I will tell you guys that this absolutely works when you are able to get this type of information out to the masses and people start coming to you for the answers to these types of questions. And they're constantly checking your blog or your YouTube channel or your social media outlets for these types of answers and ongoing education. You're going to start to win at a mass scale in this industry, because there's not a lot of people in the construction industry specifically, or in any industry for that matter, if you're outside of that industry, that are providing this type of education, and especially at the volume that we're going to talk about trying to do this at. And so, Brett, I want to get your opinion. You touched on content compounding earlier, but I want to explain that in detail to people so that they understand exactly what they need to do to go from where they're at right now to gaining major traction through their website and all digital platforms by creating those different types of content that are going to put them in front of a ton of eyeballs.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, digital marketing is easy. Just like gyms sell out memberships in January. Everybody's on the health kick and they want to, lose 30 pounds and get in the best shape of their life. And gyms sell, 10 times memberships in the month of January compared to other times. Many people say, you know what, I'm going to take this on myself. I was talking to a realtor in Colorado who said, I'm going to take this on myself. Remax offers this service. They offer this other service, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to buckle down and I'm going to write social media. I'm going to blog. It lasted a week, and she called and said, hey, it's too much. If you have the staff, or you can blog consistently twice a week, and then take that blog and break it up into daily social media excerpts to direct people back to the blog, then you don't need a company like ours. But if you're busy selling to your customers and you're busy running a business, I would tell you, you do need probably outside help to get to that level. So, that's what we're here to do. We're here to offer consistency and to ensure that social media matches the blog, that's properly connected to the website, and all the YouTube videos are basically along the lines of the same message as each article area. And what happens is really a compounding effect through Google. Google has said, we're going to measure the consistency of a business, and you want that consistency to be incredibly high. We had a call with our reps today, Brian, that you jumped on, which you were able to see real live results from lead revenue, talking about the influx of traffic by utilizing this strategy. The before and the after picture are just night and day different. Now having all of our sales reps having the same compounding of content is going to take us to a whole other level. So, you saw just through the blogging and the social channels, we were adding about 1,000 new visits on a weekly basis. If we're, so think we're getting close to 5,000 new visits a month. Now take a 10% conversion rate, and all of a sudden we have an extra 500 leads to deal with. That proposes another problem to a business owner. staffing up to handle the incoming leads, right? And that's really a great problem to have as an owner of a company.
Everybody that is in Top Contractor School or Top Contractor School Elite has heard me say, you know, when you're a business owner, you want to focus on causing one problem at a time, right? And that is a good problem to have. And then you shift gears into solving that problem through other resources, other solutions, whatever it is. We had that conversation for us. It's like, man, when we get this thing rolling and we have all these leads, how are we going to do that? We looked at, answering service, all that kind of stuff. And then, the cost of that as it escalates. And it's like, you look at these numbers and you think to yourself, man, this stuff is going to increase costs. But when you have that problem, that is a pretty good problem. And you're going to write that check pretty fast when you have way too many phone calls and way too many leads to deal with. Those are the problems that we're trying to cause.
And what we're talking about here, which is important to know, is organic presence. That's what you want to concentrate on with Google. There's a lot of companies out there that are going to sell you banner advertising. They're going to sell you Facebook ads. They're going to sell you Google ads. There's nothing wrong with those. However, if you really, let's look at Google. 90% of customers are clicking on the map section, which is organic, or they're clicking on the first organic listing. Only 10% are clicking on ads. So I like to think of it, organic is permanent results. We want basically to build a very, very solid foundation for our house. If we get to the point where you come to me and you say, hey, Brett, we're getting 100 leads a month. I'd like to take it to 200. Then let's talk about adding a layer of paid advertising to the mix. But, the first kind of basic is, let's secure the house. Let's get a great organic foundation. There's so much you can do before you get to the point of paid advertising to where you can just grow consistently. So I wanted just to point out the differences between paid and organic.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say, anybody that's out there and doesn't have this content game, kind of planned out or already in motion, it can seem like an insurmountable task, right? It can seem like something that is impossible to do. And, what this process is designed to do is to make you think, to actually create a content calendar, to figure out that, in 2020 and beyond, you're going to have to be a media company first, and then whatever you do second, if you want to generate sales activity, leads, and scale your business to a new level, you're going to have to figure out how to do that. Because what's happened over the past handful of years here, especially on social media, is that the marketplace has gotten very noisy, right? Whether you're in construction or automotive or some other industry, there's a lot of people out there that are posting a lot of things, and people are more distracted than ever before. And so that's where, when you write these short educational blog posts, you're going to grab somebody's attention for that couple of minutes. And when you grab their attention, that attention converts into dollars for your business. So create and distribute content that educates your customers and prospects. It couldn't be more important. I think, Brett, you did a great job of explaining that to people. If you guys have any additional questions on that, I would say just drop us a message. You can reach out to me, or you can go to leadrevenue.com and put your information in. There's a lot to cover there, but it is all supposed to coincide so that people know exactly where the information is coming from. They start to get a rhythm from your business of educational content, and that is ultimately the goal of what every company is trying to accomplish, is to become the authority in whatever it is that you do. So last but not least, number 3 is to be omnipresent. So to meet your customers everywhere that they exist online. For me, it's like, I know pretty much where our target clients, our target prospects are going to exist. And for me, I think that, Facebook is a great place that reaches the masses. Instagram is probably another place that reaches the masses, but a different version of the masses. And then LinkedIn is really the place where we find the majority of our clients and we get a ton of business from. But I would tell you to ask yourself, if you're a residential contractor, you might have a lot of females that are searching for your type of product. Pinterest might be an angle that you try to take. The idea of being omnipresent is to meet your customers where they want to be, not where you want to be. And so, Brett, if you could touch on that real quick and just talk to people about the importance of being everywhere, and then how that idea of being everywhere will ultimately drive that traffic back to your website and convert into dollars.
Yeah, it's just like we talked about with social compounding. It is having your message across all venues, including your blog, having matching content on YouTube. It's all of the above. One thing I'll tell you specifically that I've had really good success with is targeting specific cities in which you want to grow, and even specific businesses in the cities that you would like to capture as clients. So our approach is pretty straightforward. If you're telling me that, hey, Brett, I want to show up in Boston, Massachusetts, because we just opened an office there, and I want to go after the Boston Red Sox, I want to start paving the park. How do we do that? We're going to mention Boston, and then we're going to mention that they're the home of the Red Sox, and we are going to say specific things and name specific names in a positive spotlight, because these people have on Google alerts, and they're going to be alerted that the pavement group has an office in Boston and is the best in the industry at what they do. They clearly need to have paving work done on a consistent basis. That's how you get in front of the right people. So it's really just a combination of a massive amount of content that is very targeted, not only for the industry, but also for the city, and also for businesses in that city. We landed one of the largest accounts we've ever had with Fusion Zone by utilizing that exact same strategy. We secured a deal that was a couple $1 million worth of value a year. And we specifically went after a dealer group that had 105 locations. We took that approach, listed the city, home of Lithia Auto Group, and then talked about the accolades or the achievements that they've made in the auto industry. Well, guess what? It came time for them to look for a new website provider, and they're like, let's check this company out. They sang our praises. Let's see what they're about. And that's how we secured the account. The same thing is possible in any industry. We just have to get very, very specific. And Google is all about indexing very, very localized content. The more local it can be, the more they're going to index it, the more ways you're going to be found. And, just like the results I shared with lead revenue today, our traffic, since we utilize this this compounding effect, content compounding, our traffic is up, hundreds of percents just utilizing that one strategy. So, those are really good examples, in my opinion, of what we can do, how we can target specific cities, and ultimately target particular customers in those cities, and really get on your potential customers' radar for when the next time they actually go out and say, hey, we need a proposal on A, B, or C, they're going to consider you.
Yeah, no doubt. And to summarize here, guys, there are a couple of gold nuggets that have come from this conversation. That is one of them. I tried to warn you guys in the chat there about, writing a blog post about a company, singing their praises, mentioning the city that they're in. That idea, every single major company is going to have Google alerts set up. And when they see that come across, you're going to get on their radar. And it is interesting for me because I do a lot of that. I do a lot of interacting on LinkedIn, and I start to target these customers, and I haven't gotten to that point. We haven't written our first article yet, but just by going and interacting in posts where these people exist, you will start to see those views through your LinkedIn profile. Those companies will start to pop up, and those companies who you've never done business with. And so this idea of digital prospecting, and in Top Contractor School, we've talked about, prospecting in a digital age. And this is a critical piece of that entire equation is it's about working smarter, not harder, right? So when you are cold calling, I did an article a while back called "Cold Calling is Dead," because I don't believe in 2020 that anybody should be picking up the phone and calling somebody that they haven't at least attempted to make contact with, right? Because they haven't gotten their name or their company's name in front of. It just doesn't make any sense. That is an old school approach. It's way too easy to get in front of people these days for you to be picking up the phone and calling people that don't know who you are yet, right? So you should at least be making an attempt to do that first. One more question here. How would you recommend a residential company use this strategy as far as targeting specific areas and customers?
Exact same way. And when you say residential, talking about,
so they're only servicing residential homes. They're not targeting corporations, because there's probably a lot of people on here that are residential. They're serving residential homeowners.
Yep. No, exact same way. We do a lot of this with realtors, and it's the exact strategy that I would follow. So we talk about city names. We talk about neighborhood names. We talk about street names. The more local you can make it, the quicker it's going to index and the higher the authority is going to become. Another thing that we do, and this is something that we hadn't really even planned on talking about, reviews of your company play such a massive role in organic placement. Google wants to reward companies that take care of their customers. We want to create an automated system of getting Google reviews. If someone is not happy, we want to alert the owner of the company that, hey, this person has some comments directly for the owner. We want to take them away from Google, have them fill a form out. You as the owner could call the people and turn a bad situation into a good situation. Reviews also play a huge role in both, obviously residential and, commercial entities.
Yeah, if there's anything that we learned through our research of looking through construction companies and specifically paving companies, when you and I first started talking, it was that there is not a lot out there. Like, to be the number one person in your city for reviews is probably not that difficult of a task, I would say, based on the research that we did when we were looking at it. And here's the deal, guys. To summarize this, digital will continue to be the future of how people decide who they want to pave their parking lots, who they want to repair their air conditioner, who's going to fix their roof. The first place people are going to go is to online. And so if you want to be the company that people are able to find and you want to put yourself at the top of that list, it is not really optional to not do the things that we just talked about tonight, to not have some of the tools. And again, we have gone through the entire process of starting with literally, I personally started with a notepad, a cell phone, and a computer, and let's go get some customers, right? And I did all of the marketing, and I tried to do all the things. And I know there's a lot of contractors out there that are maybe at that place, and they're thinking, how do I do all this? And my advice to you would be to look at these things and start to figure out which ones you can do, to take steps towards this entire thing that we're talking about here. And some of that you will have to carry the load for. And maybe you can't do 2 blog posts a week. Maybe you can't currently hire someone to do that for you. But your goal should always be, with that in mind, to be able to do that as you grow into the company that you want to become. Because to get where you want to go, if you want to scale in the construction business, you have to be able to get those things off your plate as an owner or as a leader within the company. And so this advice that I got from Brett, the reason that we wanted to do this was because as I got through this process of learning these things at the level that these guys taught it to us, it was information that I knew every single contractor would want to have. And so if you need help navigating this stuff, this isn't a sales pitch for lead revenue. This is, let us help guide you. Let us give you some information on exactly how this stuff works and what's out there to be able to help you grow and scale your company. So, from the standpoint of the things that we talked about tonight, I just want to kind of summarize. It goes down to the three things that we started with, which is make sure that your website is not just a bunch of pretty pictures. Make sure that it's something that converts. Make sure that you're producing and distributing content on a regular basis, that people have a reason to come back to your company. If they're looking for something, they can read not just one article, but a bunch of articles that will tell them something about your company, something about you, and educate them on exactly what they're looking for to invest money into. You know, a lot of the stuff that we do as an asphalt paving and concrete company, it's not exactly cheap. You know, we do parking lots that cost as much more than what a lot of people's homes cost. And so when you think about those things, people want to know what they're buying. They want to know why your company is head and shoulders above another. To Brett's point earlier, they want to know your story. Where did you come from? What do you stand for? What are your values? All of these things come out through information, through blogging, through doing all the things that we talked about tonight. And when we say be omnipresent, you have to be active online, and you have to meet people on their terms, not on yours. And a lot of times in the construction industry, we have that in reverse. And so I would encourage you guys, there's a lot of good information that Brett shared in this live video. I would encourage you to go back and listen to it. This will also be available on podcasts. So on Top Contractor School, the podcast, this will be available on audio. So if you want to share this with your teams so that they can learn exactly what this is all about, and to Brett's point, you can get your entire army of people within your company pushing the same message, pushing the same content, and helping that compounding idea that we talked about here come to life, right? So with that said, Kyle made a great point here. Can't set it and forget it. That's for sure. You can't just build a website and let it go. That is not the idea of a website, and it will never, you know, it's kind of a requirement to have a website, but just don't expect it to help you grow your business if that is what you're doing. So with that said, man, any closing thoughts or advice for these contractors that are out there considering making some moves or trying to figure out what to do?
It's about consistency. It's about just the three things that you just said, but it's about consistency, laying a plan and working that plan, having a consistent message week in and week out, and have it all pointed to the same message in that given week. So many people say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and sign up with that gym membership, and this year I'm going to do it all 12 months, and they make it 1 month. You will be blown away by the results, how they compound month over month over month. So my message really is consistency, laying the plan, working the plan, and not deviating from the plan. If you do that, you can absolutely do this yourself. You can do it with a company as a partner, but the results you get will be extraordinary.
Yeah, and I would say, guys, you know, the biggest thing is to Brett's point, the consistency part of it. I did this myself, so I know how difficult it is to try and run a business and do this. And I think everybody can relate to that idea of trying to produce their own content, trying to write their own blogs. And as I was telling you earlier, you know, I did a majority of the marketing for our company. And what would happen is I would do a lot of marketing, a lot of sales, a lot of those types of activities, and the results would go up. And then we would get busy from that activity. And what would happen? Boom, it would drop back down. And it was just a big cycle. And so having that on autopilot, on cruise control, if you will, by being able to partner with a company that can do it or help you do it and guide you through that process, critical in my opinion. And those people that adopt it the fastest and become the best and most consistent at it are going to be the ones that succeed in 2020 and beyond. And so that is that's the information that we really wanted to provide to you, is what is it going to take for you to be at the top of the list as a contractor, performing at the level that you and your company is capable of. And I think that hopefully we delivered some value to you guys, gave you some ideas of what you can do, or how a company like Lead Revenue can help you be able to do that. So with that said, if you guys are interested in getting more information, you can certainly go to leadrevenue.com. And there's plenty of information there. You guys can drop me a message if you want more information. I can get it to you, or I can get you in contact with the right people. I can assure you this. I've joked with Brett through this process of going through our website. I say, man, it's like it's like doing digital marketing with Chick-fil-A. Everything has a process. The customer service is impeccable. And, I am proud to be a new member of the board of directors of Lead Revenue. And it's an honor to work with a team that has the level of expertise, professionalism, and knowledge that these guys do. And so with that said, Brett, I appreciate you being here and sharing knowledge with everybody from Top Contractor School and beyond. We had a ton of people on here, a ton of comments. So real quick, I just want to say hello to some people. What's happened? Jonathan, Joshua, Tia, Jeff Nelson. What's happening, brother? Jeff Nelson's just south of you out there, man. He's in Paris, California. Tia, Kyle Hendricks, Alex, Tyler, Josh, Eli, Bob, man. Todd Gorell is on here. Jordan, Roland. What's up, guys? Judd Burden. What's happening, man? Tons of people. Dick Bradley was on here, man. Hopefully he's still on here. What's up, Dick? How you doing, man? And, man, just thankful for the time, man. Thankful for the opportunity to be part of Lead Revenue. And, again, thank you for being willing to jump on here in the evening and share some knowledge with some folks. Hopefully it was helpful to everybody. Jordan has dropped the link in the comments here to leadrevenue.com. If you guys have any questions, just hit us up, and we will get right back to you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Brian.
Appreciate it, guys.